$5,000, so they're still trying.
Wow. I hope
Somebody
Yeah,
knows something.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, for sure. Come on, man.
Somebody else.
Yeah, they were increasing the reward money to $5,000.
Oh, I missed that. What y'all saying? What y'all talking about?
Edward Phillips.
Oh, Edward Phillips. Yeah, she called me.
Yeah.
I'm just.
You live, Tony, I think.
I know.
Oh.
I know. We're not on, but we're live. But I don't know what. I can't figure out where that man is. I just don't know. I just don't know. I mean, you just leave the house and just disappear. Nobody find you, see you, know where you. I don't know.
You know that's not normal.
No, that's not normal. That's not normal at all. So we're missing a guest. Oh, by the way, let me get that information from you.
Oh shoot! I beat myself and I.
You that nervous?
Oh crap!
You that nervous?
Very funny.
And we're gonna have an interesting discussion today again. So we'll have that ready. Okay, I'm gonna have your stuff ready too for your ad lib, okay? For your PSA you sent me. Welcome to Knowledge is Power Podcast Live with your host, Tony Redfro, and my co-hosts, LaDonna Sherwood and Francis Lawkins.
Knowledge is Power Podcast Live starts now.
It's like living in Beaumont, pros and cons. As we continue to dive in on some of the many concerns of our community, I have my guest, Terry Roy. Hello, Terry. Trish, how are
Hi,
you?
guys.
Yeah,
Good, how are
where's
you?
LaDonna? She was here. Where did she go?
I'm here.
Yeah, sure, there we go. All right, now everyone is here except our guests. So
Who do we have on tonight?
well, actually, he's just one out. He was a guest last week, and he was coming on to. We were going to continue what we discussed on last Sunday, and we're doing a continuation, episode 2 of what it's like living in Beaumont, the pros and cons. And it was as we dive in some of the concerns we have in the city of Beaumont. We had Chris Jones, who met with the. Chris Jones met with the City Council on Tuesday and presented what we talked about, the sidewalks issues that we have on in the community around the railroad tracks and in the minority area of the community. So we talked about a lot of bit on last Sunday. We talked about 555 Main Street. We talked about the what's the name of the battleship that they are trying to bring to the Nature's River to set up.
Battleship Texas.
Battleship Texas. Wow.
Well, isn't that battleship not making no money where it is?
Well, obviously it's not. You know that we talked. Obviously it's not. So some agree. You know,
and it needs to be updated or worked on or something else or something like that, right?
Right. The state is paying for it to be
we don't
repaired,
have the infrastructure currently in place to support that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, listen. All right. So what else, Tony?
Well, it got mentioned in the council meeting last week by a certain councilman that was really trying to be sarcastic about it, but he mentioned it, so the word is out about the podcast. So,
well, we understand that. You know, we all know.
Congratulations, guys.
Yeah, we already know that. But in fact, I talked to that certain city councilman and invited him to join us. So. Hopefully we'll have him with us on next Sunday as we continue this conversation, this discussion. So since, you know, I want to make sure that he are aware of what we're talking about and what we want to discuss with him. If he wants to discuss it, so we can talk about it. I don't mind, you know, this is what we do, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, we maybe can get some of our questions answered.
I respect everybody's opinions. We all have different opinions, you know. But we can't progress unless we come together and put it on the table and say, okay, this is the reason why we don't like this. This is the reason why we like this. This is why we favor this. This is some of the reasons why we don't. So
we need communication for sure.
Yeah, we need communication, and that's a good deal. I mean, that's a good deal that he's wanting to come on board. I mean, and join us. And I welcome him with warm and wide arms. How about that? All right. Okay. So we also talked about what else we talked about, Terry? I think you're on mute, are you?
Can't hear you, Terry.
Yeah, Terry, you're on mute. You mute. Yeah. Unmute. Unmute yourself, Terry.
I did.
Okay, there we go.
That did.
That did.
We mainly talked about that and sidewalks, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
Well, I also had James Eller was going to join us also and talked about some things, and he's not on board either. So I'm gonna give the show to you and LaDonna, and as Perry Busby, he just joined us. Okay, hello.
Well, we have a couple of events that are coming up. Just to kind of give people a heads up of a few things that are coming up. The NAACP is going to have their annual Juneteenth celebration. That's going to be June 17th. I want to stay at the Civic Center if I got my information correct. And then also too, I want to kind of plug the Beaumont Panthers. I meant to get their schedule. We do have a basketball team that is playing here at Fort Park. They actually have a game tonight. It's at 7, which is right now. And I'm going to be getting Tony an updated schedule of when they play, because that's something that we can get involved in, and you know, something else that we have that we can do in Beaumont. I know that there are also a couple of new restaurants, and I think even a brewery that's coming to town. So Beaumont is growing in some capacity, and I'm kind of excited about that, because we were talking about being stagnant in previous shows and conversations, and it seems like we got a little growth happening, some type of expansion growth, even in the midst of what some would say is a recession. So that's interesting.
Okay, Trish, what you got anything you want to brush over before we get on our topic?
Just to remind everybody that the citizens meeting is going to be May 22nd from 7:30 to 9:30 at Rogers Park. Everybody please come, and I encourage all advocates to get in touch with me. It doesn't have to be just about brown water. It's the time for the citizens to get together and to talk and to start setting the tone.
What's that date now?
May 22nd.
May 22nd.
It's a Sunday.
Sunday. Oh, that's a good day for me. What time?
That is a great day.
7:30 to 9:30. I thought maybe we could go live there.
7:30
Yeah, that's
to
what
9:30.
That's what we should do.
7:30 to 9:30.
7:30 to 9:30.
In the evening?
Yes, in the evening.
Well, that's our podcast time show.
That's what we said we're gonna go live.
Yeah, I'm saying that we should go live.
Okay, let's see if I've got enough equipment to go live.
Don't start there.
All right.
We'll be
Okay.
we'll be there.
That give me time to practice up for the NAACP banquet, so I can have that equipment ready.
And hopefully you won't lose it this time because I need that footage.
Yeah, I know. Let me get. I know. Well, I know. It was in the cloud. So that's James Eller. He's with us now. So now I can pull out the popcorn.
Now you can eat.
We can pull out the popcorn now. We can pull out the popcorn. Hello, Perry.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here.
What's up, Perry?
Listening. Hey, Terry. Hi, Trish. Hey,
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, James.
Hey, James. Can you hear us?
Hey.
That's him saying it? All right.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a little gurgle.
Yeah. James, I want to pick up where we left off. And before we get there, I want to let everyone know. Let me go to my banner. And everyone know that on not next Sunday, but next Tuesday, we switched dates. So Tuesday will be the former Lamar University men's basketball coach Ted Price will be with us this Tuesday as we chop it up with his new book, Locker Room Talk. So that's going to be Tuesday. And on the next Sunday, hopefully we can have our favorite councilman, Mike Getz, going to be joining us next Sunday, hopefully. And so we can really chop it up, put it on the table and chop it up.
Well, Tony, wait a minute. The title of the book is Locker Room Talk. I sure hope he ain't talking about the locker room talk that 45 was talking about.
I don't know. We'll see. We will see. We will see. So we'll talk about that then. So let me get off this here. And our guest is blanked out again. So Perry, you want to add something while we wait on our guest to come back on?
No, I have nothing to add. For once, I'm listening. I'm trying to catch up.
Well,
What's going on in Beaumont?
They say the topic is, what is it like to live in Beaumont, the pros and the cons? Well, being a Beaumont native all my life, I will say this. One thing I can say for Beaumont is it's a very small community, that's for sure. Everything gets around pretty quickly, and if you don't want people to know about it, then you probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, you're right about that. We are right about that.
Well, I guess, LaDonna, since you said that, I guess I could add that being a native of Beaumont, having lived in Beaumont, even as I look back at some of the other places that I've visited, even here in South Florida, one thing that I've noticed here in South Florida is that these are really just small towns. Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, these are small towns. And let's not let the size of Beaumont diminish our impact, because Beaumont has a well-regarded reputation around the country. I mean, when you begin to talk about the people that have come out, people go, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that place. I've heard of it." And in some cases, they think it's much bigger than what it is. So, if there's one thing I can encourage Beaumont about is live up to this grandiose myth that some people have about us. Let's not talk small about ourselves.
You're right. You're definitely right about that. So that's some pros. A lot of pros.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one pro about Beaumont is, I will say this, Beaumont has turned out some very hard-working dedicated people. Beaumont has turned out some very hard working, prominent, dedicated people, and the work ethic, I feel like, from much of the community is unparalleled. You could take a person from Beaumont and transplant them anywhere, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be some type of successful story or some type of, they not going to just go nowhere and fall to pieces. I don't believe that one bit.
That's true. Yeah, we're all over the country.
Some of the best things come in smaller packages too. Like, it's okay to be smaller than.
Well, that's true. But I want to get to James Eller. James, you brought up the subject on last Sunday, and we talked about it. And I want to go back and kind of agitate you on that a little bit.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about several things because we've got some issues that's going on in Beaumont that a lot of people don't know. And James is a bloodhound. He is a guy that's a hardworking guy that's concerned about the city of Beaumont, and he's a workman, and he found out some things and getting with me with it, and it just blowing my mind. It's like, wow, this is going on. So we got to figure this out. But we're going to talk about two things with you, James. We're going to talk about the USS ship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're going to talk about the Beaumont Police Department.
Okay.
All right, we want to address that so that the community can know what's going on in our community. Yeah. Okay, James, you got the floor.
All right. If you want to talk about, let's say about the USS battleship first. USS battleship, like I say, I'm tossed up on the whole AT&T thing now because of what they said that they did have plans, and then Mike Getz had said no, they don't have plans, and I was like, I'm con Mike Getz and pro, the other leadership as it stands right at that point. So I'm looking at things that were tossed up as original plans, and I'm thinking that they were actual plans, not just something that they might have fabricated for talks. And of course, my guess was right on it, supposedly, that there are no plans, as we just heard, that they're going to discuss on what they're going to do to the area. So they didn't have a real direction that they were going to go with. Somebody else brought up that there was just going to be a splash pond, and my guess had stated that. And I don't mind admitting where I go wrong with communication or direction with who I'm with and who I'm not with, right? So I was totally against, my guess, what they've shown me or what I've seen is a completely different ideal than just a splash pond. But that looks like, I think Terry had said we don't need another splash pond, and somebody else had brought up that that's all the ideal is just a splash pond. So I think we were misled at that big old meeting downtown to sort of gather us all together to say yay or nay if Beaumont's in in the same room with the council at this point with the AT&T building, which that rolls into the USS Texas battleship. USS Texas battleship will not be, according to even the USS Texas Battleship Foundation, I think it's called, the long name of it. That's a state-owned battleship, so it's not going to be a burden on the local taxpayers, as far as the foundation has said. I've been in contact with them a couple of times through emails, and then it sort of shut down during the talk, saying that they were going to come out here, and I think that they did come out here and talk to the council about it. So all Beaumont citizens would be required, and I don't know the cost on it, would be the mooring, which would be with the housing, which would be where the boat actually docks at, right? And then a ramp, basically, to connect the land to the ship. Then the city would need to provide I think it's a 10,000 square foot visitor center. So it could be something converted to, or it could be something built from the ground up. I would love to see the preservation of the ship. I don't see any other area besides there was Corpus Christi, I think, up, and I think that there was maybe Baytown, Channelview, somewhere like that, that had offered to look into housing the ship. But so it was like maybe three cities at this point that are on the coast that were able to, have the ship come to. Beaumont, I think, would be a good location, a prime location. It would be out of the saltier water if we're more up the river, right, up Nature's River. If they dock it at where the AT&T building is, like almost directly behind it, then I would think either the AT&T building needs to come down for view from Main Street, and you can see a better backdrop of just a silhouette of the ship compared to having buildings stacked behind it. If you're coming over the freeway, coming into Beaumont, hell, even leaving Beaumont, if somebody's a passenger looking back at Beaumont as a city, glancing over. But AT&T building would also be great for the 10,000 square foot office space, the area for what the Battleship Texas actually requires for us to provide to them for a visitor center. So it would have, retail, so they can sell their items. There was also pamphlets and whatnot, information about the ship, history. They'll have probably murals of pictures of the ship, and then after that, stories told by the sailors or whatever. Because I think it's a New York class battleship, and I think it's from World War II. I don't think it was dated back to World War One. I think it was World War II during the war with Hitler and Japan. So that was one of the bigger ships out in that time, and one that survived. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of them. We have the Alabama and the North Carolina and Texas, and then there's probably a couple others, but it's not a whole lot with a huge fleet that we had from way back when, right? But that could be a good draw coming right over the bridge, coming into Beaumont, and the cost would be just for the 10,000 square foot building and the actual mooring, the placement of the ship. But after that point, we're supposedly not supposed to be involved in the cost. We should possibly reap something from it, at least taxpayers traveling, taxes spent buying gas, buying groceries, buying for picnics, if you want to picnic in a park nearby or something like that. So that's the way that we can generate tax revenue from the ship, actually.
So my question, one of my concerns is that we have to, I guess, dredge the river to bring that in. Can we handle that?
I think that the river in the middle area is deep enough to definitely an extent, because our port is going to be right near that location. It's probably, the port is on the other side of Jefferson County Courthouse, right? So it's probably 3,000 feet from, maybe something like that, from the location. Now it would in the Nature's River location, possibly from the riverfront part, that should probably be dredged. However, the river is pretty deep. I do not know that information though.
Aren't they waiting on Army Corps engineers, right, to do something?
Probably so. They are doing, I think that they're involved with the Army Corps of Engineers, I think is involved right now with the shoring of the banks right now from the destruction of Harvey, I think from the washout. So the Army Corps of Engineers probably already has some of that data as of depth wise, because they probably wanted to go in and learn what they're dealing with actually to do the shoring of the riverbank, right? So they probably already have the depth of the river and all that information ready, and they could just basically copy paste, bring over to that information that's requested. Anybody can do probably an open records to the Army Corps engineers to find out, or there could be information already found online for the depths of Nature's River in that area.
I just remember the last time I remember council talking about it, there was a dredging that had to happen, and then part of the property that it would sit on actually belongs to somebody else, I think is what I remember.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe at the time, was it far enough back whenever the AT&T building was already or still purchased by Tom Flanagan?
Yeah, it was right around the time we purchased it.
Maybe possibilities. It could. I mean, it could
I
have
could be
been that.
wrong.
It could have been. No, I mean, it could be that it was connected to the AT&T property for some reason or another. It's a possibility, or it could be with the railroad. It could be easement for the railroad where the crossover. The tracks do get a little closer in that area, so their easement may come to a point over in that area. Uh, Not sure. Not sure. That is definitely, like I said, that's a pro to me history wise and whatnot. I would love to go. I
Oh, it's
didn't
got
even
lots of
know about.
history.
Yeah, yeah. I did not even know about the actual location until like the location that it's at right now until like fully looking into it a whole bunch and whatnot. And, I mean, years have gone by without me not even knowing it existed. Right. I knew that there was a ship out there. I saw that there was maybe something from whenever I took the ferry. And I thought it was at Wolf Park. That's at over there towards Moody Gardens. I thought that it was actually at Wolf Park because there was a submarine there. I thought, but whenever you take the freeway, I never did care. I always saw the San Jacinto Monument, and that was pretty much it. The distance to get to it is a few different highways. Take this one off to that one, then you got to go down a regular road. I mean, regular street down, or a regular, let's say like a New Washington Boulevard. Like a developed street compared to the county road to get to the ship where it's at. So it to me, I never cared to pay attention of the location, right? For the location now to be next to an interstate, I think it would draw a whole lot more individuals too. Like USS Alabama is pretty much right off of the freeway. I shared, I think it was the North Carolina, USS North Carolina. It is on a freeway, but across the river from the main city. But they have a whole park set up. They have Battleship Park, Battleship Street, everything connected to the actual ship. Then after that, USS Battleship at Alabama. I think that there's one little side exit, maybe a detour exit type, but it's in view of the freeway, and they draw a whole lot of visitors. Both ships do for the location of the USS Texas. I don't think that it's getting as many visitors as it could. So I agree with my guess on that. As the location could have a whole lot more visitors. And then we're right next to Louisiana, so we could possibly bring in history buffs from Louisiana that also go to other battlefields and battleships and whatnot visit.
I don't know if it's true, but I heard that this ship actually docked here during the war, like it was hiding in Natchez.
Not sure. We do have a reserve. We do have a naval reserve out there towards Port Arthur. I remember I was about 24 years old. Me and a couple of friends had went on a boat late one night in the river fishing, and ended up went out towards Port Arthur and saw these blue lights. And I didn't know what it was until later on looked that there's a big old propeller over there on, I guess it's Twin City. I keep on, naming it wrong, but by the old DuPont Lucite plant, there's a propeller and it's naval reserves. So it's possibly that they docked it out in that area. We have a natural river. I mean, that it's deep enough for that. We ship out of our port, and most of the military. I think that we're, Terry, what are we, the third or the second or something like that? We're one of three, I believe, largest port for military export.
Yeah, I think we're in top 5 for sure.
Right. So I mean, it would line up with what Teresa is saying with the ship being docked in this area. We have a strong connection to the military on a lot of the military going out of this area, and I mean ducking off and storage. So it could be a possibility that it was docked out in this area next to probably the naval reserves, which are. I think that it's.
Question: has this been voted on by the city council? Has it been approved?
To do what?
I'm not sure.
the battleship of Texas here.
No.
No,
I think it was a while back. Didn't they say that the foundation was going to come and talk again about it?
Okay. They were waiting on more data and all that type of stuff.
Okay.
So, but it hadn't been voted on yet.
Yeah,
but
because that was my thing. Has there been a cost benefit analysis? And then again, what does that
I think there has
been weigh against other priority?
Yeah, I know AJ called for it a few times to get concrete information on it, but I don't think they've gotten that information yet. So
and I agree with James. I mean, coming from that I-10 trip from Florida to Texas, I mean, the USS Alabama catches your eye going either way.
Right.
I mean, and then coming into Beaumont off of I-10, I mean, it's got to catch you in the distance. I mean, and you've got to be looking that way.
And it's a distance.
As well as, I mean, that's the cost for getting it there. But what is the cost for now rearranging traffic? The cost for all of these other ancillary services that are going to assist in this, but it's going to be it's going to be on the taxpayers. Wallet to help make this possible.
We're going to have more businesses come in.
Output from it.
Right. A lot of unhappy taxpayers at that.
So. Right. Yeah. And you're going to have other businesses.
Yeah.
It has to attract other business downtown.
Which means the city is going to have to let up a little bit on the business rules and regulations because
the guy told me, guy just messaged me about he wanted to try and get a trailer and turn it into something, make a business out of it. And I'm like, man, after I've heard of all the different individuals that get harassed by the city on numerous of things, if you want to start up a business out here, they will ride your back. And if you look at it, it's like, wow, what's the point? It's not for the properness of it. It's not, you got to make sure everybody's in the health code. I mean, they'll pick with you for a lot of things. Ridiculous. It's like, don't let you slide. They will shut you down. A guy's house next door over here, in fact, had an issue, burnt a section of it. He's been trying to get it closed back up and worked on or whatever else. And it looks like nothing's happened. It looks like the city, because he came out here and he was doing a little checklist because he was like, man, the city just hit me with all kinds of things. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
It's too many loopholes. It's too many.
Yeah, you can bet that if it was somebody from the city that was having something done to their home, man, they let it go. If you're a buddy of the buddy of the buddy, they let it go. They got a guy that down the street from my other house was, I wanted a semicircular driveway just because. I mean, I felt like that's what I wanted for my home. I had the money to do it. I wanted to do it. They denied me, said that I needed more greenery. Okay, so I decided on putting it. I swear to God, that's what they told me.
They wanted me to put handicap spots in a tow yard. And trees.
I put in, doesn't make any sense. I put in about 3,000 total. I estimate some because a lot of it was like, I say donated in a way. But a lot of the stuff that I brought in all kind of trees and plants and everything, and I redid my yard and everything. Then got denied again. And they said, basically, I don't fit the criteria. I don't fit the area or whatever else with that. So next thing I know, on the next street over, somebody, and driveways in the Oaks Historical District has to be of concrete, right? Not asphalt, is what they had told me. So then on the next street over, at the same time, after I did the legitimate request for, they apparently allowed somebody to pour an asphalt semicircular driveway. Then down the street from my house, they had a lawyer that actually was a friend of the former director or former supervisor underneath Chris Boone's. He was like the secondary with the city building codes and also code enforcement area or department. He approved without going through the official Oaks Historical Commission, authority, basically committee, to allow you to paint your house a certain color or allow a driveway saying that it would fit a certain area. He allowed him to build it, no greenery, just a green grass yard, and that's it. But allowed him to build that, and then he retired. He left. he left the city of Beaumont. He was out. So it was his pardon. It was his governor pardon, basically his last wish, his presidential pardon, his last wish on him leaving out the door. He allowed the guy to bypass all rules, all everything, and build that on the same block across the street, though on the even number side. Chris Boone lives on the odd side and on the even side numbers. This attorney built that semicircular driveway without going through any permits at all. But that's how Beaumont does. If you're a friend of a friend of a friend and you know somebody downtown, you can get anything done.
So you're telling me that it is corrupt downtown?
Yeah.
No.
Totally up and up.
Hold on. I didn't mean to mislead anybody with that, but I just want to say Beaumont is corrupt. Yeah, I just said it again. I keep on screwing up.
That's why you got to keep fighting the corruption.
Yeah, you got to keep
all day long. But be positive when you do it, Jerry. Be positive when you fight.
Never be positive. Anything you ever say is considered to be negative. So.
You're right. All day long. There's no way.
We're going to move on to the Beaumont PD department, the police department.
Yes, indeed.
Police department.
Yes, indeed.
We got some problems now.
Yes,
and we want to make the community aware of what is going on. And I'm just going to touch on a little bit of basic, and then I'm going to get back to James with this, and the panel can come in and punch holes in it and see how we can come out with this issue that we have. There was 2 black males stopped and ordered out of their vehicles. One had a gun in between his legs and was telling the officers that he didn't want it to fall out and then to be shot. He didn't want to be shot. He said, "Oh, I got a gun between my legs. I don't want to be shot. I'm letting you know where it is." And one of the officers yelled and gave him a command and that he should grab it and just. So James, tell us about it. What happened?
Yeah, so I'm gonna give you a rundown. I'm sort of. I got friends in BPD. I got friends in Texas State Troopers, Jefferson County, everything. I have multiple individuals that I know from all departments. So I do not hate police. I hate improper police. I hate policing that allows abuse to the citizens because I'm pro-citizen, con government, one way or another. It doesn't matter. So my involvement with BPD goes back to years and years of whenever I was younger. 17 years old, handcuffed in the back seat of a car, and the elbow placed in my neck, and then pushed against the back seat while I'm handcuffed. And I have my lip busted open by San Miguel. San Miguel went along with life in BPD for years, where I think he did retire. He went to another department doing security at the courthouse, I believe.
And that's all happened to you? That's all happened to you? And you white?
Oh no! Hey, that ain't the end of the show. Hey, they will.
Imagine what would happen to one of us,
100%. 100%. In fact,
I understand what you're saying. I understand. We know you're not biased with the police, but you want things done right. So tell us about Let's get to
that particular stop. Right, that particular stop that you talked about just now was 2 black males that were. They must have been. They must have, at least the passenger with the gun, right? Because Alpha, the conversation in between the passenger and the officer at the time, it sounded like that the officers were responding properly to a stop that involved in a possible scenario where he flashed the gun or something to that extent, right? Because the officer said, "We know you have a gun." Okay, but this is not after the officer approached the vehicle. They pulled him over and then immediately, went to ordering them out of the vehicle. So I believe that there was some kind of proper call to stop them for whatever reason why. I don't know the circumstances behind that though. So they did stop them. But when the officers then go to pulling them out, hey, get out the car, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, "Hey, I'm ready to get out. I just have a gun in between my legs and I don't want to, hands up," right? Getting out. He had his hands out the window. So he didn't want to grab the gun and then, look like he's holding a gun now, or a hand come back in the window, because then what are you doing? Why's your hands? So then there's a scary moment of my life is being threatened at that point in time, right? So they'll shoot. But what he did is kept his hands out the window and was like, hey, I got a gun. I need to let y'all know that if I get out, his leg could have dragged it out and it could have hit the ground. Hell, a cop could have said, gun. What happens, everybody, when people say gun? People respond with shooting at that point in time. They don't ask questions, and then they say, for the life and safety of the officer, he was shot. But why was he shot when the gun was on the ground? It wasn't even in his hand, right? So that was what the guy was trying to avoid. He was trying to avoid being shot by the officers that night. And kudos to him that he was trying to convey this to the officers as much as he could. So he was able to get out of the vehicle only after they allowed him, like, hey, open the door, blah, blah, blah. But one officer that was yelling out the other commands was, not the conversation. This was done by another officer, but the conversation to the guy about, hey, we know you got a gun, blah, blah, blah. They cooperated straight, no problem. The officer that was yelling out the stop commands, he then yelled out, I'm not effing playing with you. And then as the guy's like, okay, I'm getting out. And then he's like, shut up. So what does that do? What is the escalation in the BPD officer? What is he trying to gain at that point in time? I'm not effing playing with you. The code of conduct in Beaumont Police Department handbook states that they're supposed to remain professional at all times. They're not supposed to accept gifts from anyone, which there's also individuals that back the BPD, which is fine, back the BPD, but then say how they have bought them numerous things and how the officers deserve everything. Those individuals are breaking policy at that point in time. I don't care for dirty cops. I do not care for cops that are going to command citizens to get the F out of their vehicle whenever the guy is actually trying to do what he's, do by the officer's command and actually get out on time. That escalated the driver to then get out of the driver's seat and yell out, I'm a effing man. Like, he's not going to get commanded out like a dog. But according to the driver, I had seen the driver in the street later on, a few days later, and the driver said that supposedly they hit him with a disorderly. They hit him with a disorderly or resistance. I think it was, I asked him, and he said it was a resistance charge. The guy didn't resist at all, unless he resisted at the police station, at the jailhouse being checked in. At the stop, he didn't resist at all. He backed up. All he said was, I'm not an effing man. I'm an effing man. And that was it. That the two individuals walked back and got handcuffed and were placed in the car without a dispute, without a fight. But they were hit with more charges. So I've looked into actually filing charges on the officer for disorderly conduct and breach of peace, which is available to citizens or anybody. If you get an officer that wants to file that on you because you've cussed out loud, then they'll go through with the charges. I've asked BPD to give me the open records on it. They didn't. So 10 days, they then were out of 10 days, they were out of compliance with the Open Records Act. They gave it back to me in 16 days after I requested again for the information on the officer's name, because I wanted that one particular officer's name. The legal department from BPD stated, we couldn't determine which officer was actually talking. We don't know which officer actually yelled out those commands. Now, remember, the body cameras, they sit on the officer's chest, right? So how is it that if you have a camera on your chest, your voice is louder, correct, to that camera, I would think, and the other officers wouldn't be picking up the same tone of you wearing a camera? And there's other officers there that they could have asked, hey, who was that was yelling out that night? Because they said, Internal Affairs said that they were going to do a full investigation, that their sergeant of that night was going to ask and find out all this information. Beaumont never did any of that. In fact, Internal Affairs actually told me to go file with the courthouse. If I wanted to file charges on the officer, I had to then take it down there, that Internal Affairs didn't take those investigations. Internal Affairs didn't take in Internal Affairs Okay. So when I went to go call the municipal courthouse said, "Oh, talk to IA." Yeah, okay. So talk to IA is what they said. So they've given me the full runaround, plus what the information that they released, the legal department released, was every officer on that stop that night. So it gave me the opportunity, one, to see all the officers when I looked them all up, and I tried to figure out who. And I think I found out the exact officer now, which one was yelling out the commands. But I have to have the exact officer's information to file on that one particular officer, because I can't file on them all, according to the lady at the courthouse, because the courthouse says that, well, the DA or whoever the prosecutor will probably dismiss the charge because I don't have all the correct information on who needs to be filed against. So it's a full cover up from the basic level of a traffic stop. What do you think they're doing for the instance whenever they broke that guy's, paralyzed that guy? How much do you think that they're covering up when they cover up a traffic stop from an officer just cussing someone out? Do you think that we'll ever find out whatever happened to that guy that really got paralyzed, that's living paralyzed right now from the Beaumont Police Department? Do you think that we'll ever find out information? The council and legal of Beaumont can change body worn camera policy, but they won't do that either. But the council can do that as well. Will we ever see it?
Okay, so
there are definitely some major changes that needs to happen down at the police department. And while they've done a lot of work to, try to be in the community, and I think that's great, that there needs to be some type of citizen oversight or something for like when these things happen. And I know they say that they do, or they have a citizen review board or something like this effect, but the level of activity and participation has got to be increased on the part of the citizens, and we got to put some pressure on the council. Maybe that's what needs to happen. You got to do something.
Every 2 years, we can put pressure on the council. And if we don't have that young council member that just went in here or there or whatever, rotate them out to a new one. Get the old ones that have been sitting on the panel for so long that ain't doing nothing, get them out. But we have to get the citizens, like Terry says, it's our fault. We need to get the citizens involved to just shut it down and remove the citizens of it, the council that have been sitting there forever. But there's too much of a brand, like a brand loyalty. People are going to pay. I started doing construction. I bought some $29 to $34 fire resistant shirts. People are buying $79 fire resistant shirts just because of brand loyalty or whatever. I don't have to have the best councilmen up there. They're not flawless, but you're going to make some changes for the people. You're not going to continue to be a government employee and government protector. You're going to be a citizen protector if you're being brought on from me.
People change when they get in seats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So? Wait.
And first of all,
you think so? You really think so?
I don't know. I think that might be wrong.
I keep messing up, man. My train of thought keeps going off, Tony.
Yeah.
I keep on.
No, but James, first of all, thank you for staying on top of this issue. But you're right at the tip of what we've been saying about
I already know
what we have to do as a community, and that is the more we request the information. Because a part of this is also the amount of stops that they make within our communities that never go documented. So, a part of this is also looking at what is being documented, as well as what we can now compare that against within our own communities. And once they begin to see, especially council, once they begin to see that we as a community are requesting information, I know they're gonna push against every request.
Already.
But once they begin to understand, oh look, it's this group of people always looking for this information, things will begin to change. And that's when you have to begin to knock on those doors like that. We have to begin to ask our communities, what's going on? What's happening? Because we tend to talk from this emotional piece that we know one thing went on, and we blow that one up. But there are many more, and we are the ones who are at fault for this because we know the information, but we're not asking for it, and we're not putting it in the proper perspective. And that's something that we have to do. I don't care who you vote for. City council is an institution. It's one person isn't going to change it. 4 people are going to change it. We have to begin to got these institutions and make them work for us. Government is about the people, not them people, us people.
Right. That's why I fail to represent coming together and standing up and demanding it, because we're not going to get it otherwise. We all have to be as one.
Right.
Power in numbers.
Right. I mean, I can tell you about a hearsay situation that happened, and I commend I think it's detective and lieutenant that was involved that stepped up to get this guy's situation handled, because Beaumont PD, here's how it happened. The guy, this was about 2 years ago, so he's been debating for 2 years to file a lawsuit on the city, but he's afraid. There's probably plenty of people out there afraid to file a lawsuit and he's thinking about moving Beaumont from altogether because of what happened. So his stepson heard his mom and him, his stepdad, arguing, not fight, not fist thrown, nothing like that, just a regular, verbal dispute in their own home, in their own bedroom. This is in the north end of town. So the boy calls the police. The police show up. 2 armed police show up into this man's residence. They go and knock on the bedroom door. He doesn't know that it's the police knocking on the door in his own home. Well, BPD ends up knocking on his bedroom door. They say, open up. When he opens up, he finds 2 guns pointed at his face, because the call went like this. Does your dad have guns in the house? Yes, he does. He has a lot of them. Well, ends up that prompted the Beaumont Police Department to enter a man's home with guns drawn. So they entered his home, guns drawn, pointed one through the door crack, one through the door opening whenever the door came open. They ordered the man out of the bedroom. This was for a dispute between him and his wife. They handcuff him. He's not saying a word, because that is your legal right to not help the police in their investigation of you. So when you provide, man, she threw this and I swung at her, you're prompting yourself to get arrested and go to court and go to jail for battery, for domestic violence, even though she didn't call and he didn't call on her. Okay, because she has a gun and he has a gun in the bedroom. They are both gun owners. So she could have shot him, he could have shot her if it got to a physical dispute. They didn't call, the stepson called. So it ends up that they arrested him. They took all his guns out of his house. Okay, they searched high and low bedroom. So illegal search and seizure at this point as well, because the guy is on a domestic call. That it's not even a gun was used in this. It's a threat or whatever. A gun was not even stated to be shown. The wife was not pressing charges. BPD took this on their own. So they arrested the individual. They took him to Jefferson County. They booked him in without reading his Miranda rights. They then booked him in. He was in jail for 3 days in what's called a turtle suit, because BPD put him down for an eval. They arrested him on a psychological evaluation because he did not determine, he didn't want to talk to him. So I'm not saying a word to y'all. So they arrested him and put him on a 72-hour hold with no rights read in the Miranda. So it ends up that after roughly 48 hours of him being butt naked in a turtle suit next to actual crazy individuals in cells next to him, there was one chick that supposedly murdered her own baby, like cut the baby's head off or something. He's dealing with all that craziness, and he's just not wanting to speak to the police. Then the jailer or the judge, somebody found out that he was not read the Miranda rights. They ended up letting him go. The judge said that no, you cannot return home because it's a domestic issue. Well, the guy doesn't have anywhere else to go. Okay. So he ended up sleeping in a park because he's a new resident to Texas from Louisiana. So he ends up sleeping in Babe Zaharia's park for I think those 2 days after that, 3 days after that, until the judge then allowed him to go back home. So then he was able to go back home to then find that BPD down a dead end road is now starting to do routinely going down his street and circling back around. The guy had been coming outside. So he ends up talking to, like I said, a lieutenant or a sergeant detective, someone that I commend for actually stopping BPD from harassing him. That's where I was going with for my story of my life with BPD. BPD does some things, and a lot of those officers, not all, there's a lot though, that actually are on the ego trip. Like I said, the one that put his elbow
into. I believe you. I believe you. I really do believe you.
Oh yeah, all day long. There was a 42-year-old. I'm not going to say the officer's name right now, but there was a 42-year-old officer that I think he's gone now from the force. He might be at another force somewhere else doing worse. But he had threatened me because he thought I was messing around with his girlfriend, and he was like, "I'm gonna come find you." Who knows if that was on a company issued phone or a police department issued phone? The one that bust me in the mouth while I was handcuffed at 17 years old, he went on to raping his own 15-year-old daughter and then shooting himself in the head whenever they found out. A stepdaughter. There's plenty. Oh, well, all officers are human. Man, come on, man. We need to address this.
Where's Chris Jones? Is he here? He's with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Chris, we talking
What's going on?
Yeah,
What's going on, everybody?
You guys.
I do apologize. I appreciate that, big bro. I apologize for being late.
We've got some more. We got quite a few issues that we need to address before we get out of here. But I want you to address our community right now, our audience, those that will watch later on, and tell them about. Last Tuesday, you approached the city councilman about the sidewalk issues.
Absolutely.
And
just like I do want to say, I do apologize for being late to the
No, we had
table.
We had quite a bit to talk about, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, but I do want to reiterate what my big brother Perry Busby said about making these requests. Even if they don't give you the information you made request for, it's on record that you had made record for these particular requests, and you have to be specific in your requests. So I do agree 100% with Perry about and Terry, because I already know. Before I got on, he said it's based on us. So, with that being said, the requests that we have and that we make from the city of Beaumont have to be in writing. So, in writing, I did address city council on behalf of several neighborhoods, especially on the east side of the city. And I don't care if you say you live on the north end, or you live in South Park, you live on the Peace Side, Tribe City, Silver City. I don't care where you say you live, if it's South End, the avenues, heart of the city, downtown. You are restricted by several railway companies, and I'm gonna place blame where it is. Railway companies, TxDOT, and the city of Beaumont. These restrictions come from public, restrictions in public access. And don't get me wrong, you'll be like, well, what you mean? We got streets and this and that we could pass on. And some of those, I would call, I would say that there are streets, and I use that loosely with some of the public access or public ways of access that we have here in the city of Beaumont. But I did address city council about our sidewalk issue, and I did mention to them, the restriction of public access, especially when it comes to crossing the tracks, safely crossing the tracks, especially for people that, not just enjoy bike riding, but people that have bike riding as a necessity or a means for transportation. So, like I think I mentioned, the city have allowed, in regards to the state saying that it is illegal to ride bikes on the sidewalk, the city have allowed city ordinance to um, govern us and say that you can ride bikes on the sidewalk. And I'm assuming, hopefully, they did that because we can, you know, we have certain citizens that needs assistive devices, like an electric wheelchair or something of that nature, that may not be able to move swiftly in the flow of traffic on the street as far as vehicular commuters. So I did mention to them, sort of kind of like a plug, a shameless plug, that not only are you restricting citizens public access, but that is also against federal and state law. um, that this is a problem, not only for ADA, which gives us access, but it's also against citizens with disabilities. Um, so that's a really big issue. And if you guys remember, a while back, citizens with disabilities sued the city of Beaumont for, if not 800,000, almost eight
Eight
hundred
hundred
thousand
thousand,
dollars.
800,000, and
Um,
won. So
and I was just about to say,
and
and
won.
they won. Not to say that our legal representation that we had at the time wasn't capable, but the city of Beaumont's funding wasn't capable of going against the federal government. So
Right.
I will say again, this is just um, an alert, like warning, and it's not warning, warning, warning. It's just warning, for the city of Beaumont. Stop restricting citizens of Beaumont public access. If I
Yeah.
could, Big Brother Tony,
Yes, sir.
make a comment. I do apologize, James. James, I got in on the, I guess, like the middle portion of one of your experiences with the city of Beaumont Police Department.
Hmm.
And I know, like LaDonna said, there's a lot of real nice events and community engagement. Uh, I guess, like programs that they're trying to push and put on, as well as the engagement with a lot of neighborhood associations, and mine is one of them. But like Perry said, in regards to that situation, there are some legitimate pieces of reform uh,
Hmm.
that not only our city needs to adopt,
Right.
but our management as well need to um, execute, I guess, uh, so to speak, that would not only, um, I guess, put pressure, so to speak, on those officers that are hired by the city of Beaumont, especially
Right.
those officers that have repeated offensive public relation, especially being peace officers. And like you, myself, and several others that are have made report to the NAACP, as well as have made reference to the accountability affiliates, uh, and some of the, I guess, rights and um, actions that most citizens should take, um, and could take. They're not knowledgeable and are aware of those particulars.
Right.
um,
Right.
Most of the times you hear an attorney say, well, I'm not gonna give you legal advice without a retainer, or this, that, and the
Right.
other. But there is certain, I guess, um, I like standard information that needs to be communicated to our entire community, not only people that look like that may look suspect. Um, and I spoke at an event yesterday with the same grill in my mouth, and automatically before words came out of my mouth, especially what I had on yesterday, it was Saturday. I was relaxed, and so you know what I'm saying. A lot of people would, perceive me at that particular time to have been, just somebody that was uninformed, maybe, a recovering thug or a felon or something of that nature, because you automatically see a black man with a beard, and he got a grill in his mouth, and he got tennis shoes on his feet, and he's not dressed for the occasion, so to speak. Um, yeah, I mean, like I heard, like I said, I heard portions of your explanations of what needs to happen because of, regardless to race, creed, or culture. But I will say that because of your skin, like Tony said, uh, I had the question of like, damn, is he black? Or he got a lot of black friends because
Well,
um,
that was the night. Yeah.
and because like the the reports that I get, and I'm just there are it's just an atrocity. It's just
Right.
disrespectful to the populace of this city.
Right.
That not only are there biases and prejudices in the hiring or the not the hiring but the individuals that's hired, you know what I'm saying? um
Right.
yeah, and like I said, uh, as a veteran, and all due respect to those that protect our public streets, but you guys, and one day I sent out a text message, Perry, Tony, Terry, you guys could remember, especially during February, I had sent out a text message about the relationship or something that needs to happen with the police department, and I sent it to all the people that I adore and that I guess adore me, that pours into me, that allows me to pour into them. And our police chief is one of those individuals. So I sent it to him, and he texted me back and was like, "Chris, you really don't believe that there should be like a defunding of the police department?" And I told him, I said, not a defunding, but there definitely needs to be a defusing. There
Hmm.
needs to be a
De-escalation.
refunding. There
Hmm.
needs to be something that goes on with the police department where they are held accountable for their actions. Because
Yep.
as of now, it's all imposed on the city of Beaumont. Whereas,
Yep.
again, I'll say, as a veteran, let me f up and see who gets
Right.
consequences and repercussions, whether it's
Right.
$240 or $250 a month from
Right.
out of my check for 6 months for just
Right.
cussing at a citizen. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
not even dressed proper in uniform, and I had to give you several reprimands, whether verbal or written reprimands. It's I'm not understanding how people raise their hand and say they swear to
Hmm.
protect citizens and their lives and then property, because without us, that
Hmm.
property wouldn't be anything, whether it's insured or not. So
Right.
people, like Perry said, us, you, them, have sworn to protect us, and you have no consequences or repercussions when you come against us. I don't understand that,
Right.
and that's what I
There
had
has to
to
be checks and balances.
convey and relay to our city police chief. And I mean, I'm assuming that he somewhat had to agree because there was no rebuttal thereafter. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I got you.
So the
Everybody has to have
reform
checks and
has to
balances.
come, and the reform. I'm not going to say is in an advisory panel or anything like that. The reform is the citizens of Beaumont going to their elected official and saying, hey, this is an ordinance that I or we, signatures and individuals behind me, want on the books. Period. Point blank, period. There is no advisory council, panel, committee, none of that, because our ordinances are made to govern us. Again, I'm going to say, the city of Beaumont, in their ordinance, says that it is legal and right to ride on public sidewalks in the city of Beaumont. But in the state of Texas, I'm going to say it again, in the state of Texas, it says that it's illegal to ride bikes on the sidewalk. Now, the fine print in that is the state says, refer to your city charter. You heard what I said? Refer to your city charter. Same situation when the election was going on for mayor, and one candidate had their signs out in December of the year prior to. And the city ordinance says you're not supposed to put it out there but 3 months within the time span. One council member said, oh no, the state said that's done away with. Well, the city ordinance says that this is what you follow. And even when you refer to the state of that, how that's governed, it also said at the bottom in the fine print, Mr. Councilman, refer to your city charter. So if the state makes a law, and this person knows that because you two are an attorney of the law, of one that I'm hoping represents your clients rightfully under the law, how would you suggest and reprimand others for, trying to curve the law when you tried to curve the law yourself?
They did. We really have to
be cognizant of what people are saying to us. We have to be aware, not just, I don't have to study about it every day, but if I'm sitting among some people that are extremely diverse in their conversations and their indulgements and their endeavors in life, you'll learn a lot. I'm a PK. I'm a pastor's kid. I'm not a pastor. I'm a youth minister. I'm not a pastor. But at that time I associated myself with pastor-like things. Same goes for PKs, preachers' kids. They kind of migrate together. And it's inevitable, especially as you get to talking, you find out, oh man, I'm a PK. Of course, you don't have to ask Perry Busby if he's a PK, because the world knows Perry Busby. Is it the second or senior? I think it's the second.
No,
the third.
Junior.
It's third. This quad right
I'm
here.
the third.
Yeah. So we know Perry Busby the third, but Perry Busby Jr. Pastor Perry Busby Jr. left legacy and standard that I think, me personally, I follow till this day. And those standards have not brought me void or brought me negligence or brought me, it has never guided me different. So it was good back then, and that's my anticipation and like I guess interpretation of what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If the goose gave it to you, hold it, share it amongst ourselves, especially as we pet and we dive and we have to be very careful of what we allow and what we really don't pay attention that goes on council. So
leaders are supposed to lead and set the example. They're not supposed to curve things.
Well, I'm sorry. I've always, even before I put my big boy drawers on and decided to run for city council in 2011. May 1st, 2011, my name was on the ballot for the first time in my life. You understand me? So this is a big moment for me, and I understand that from 2003 to 2022, 2022, some of the same things that when I came back from the military, we still fighting and asking and begging and pleading. That is out, and the reason is because, and one thing I learned, y'all, it doesn't take it doesn't take 106 people because think about how God constantly decreased the number of soldiers that He sent that they sent out to battle. Think about how many yeah. So yeah. But y'all have to understand, like the more you have to understand, like the more liberties that we give up, and the more that we don't pay attention to some of these sly politicians, some of these politicians that are trying to juke you, and you know what you're talking about, and some of these state agencies and government agencies, just like we got the Sunset Review coming up. And I definitely want to point that out. Sunset Review is the review of all of Texas agencies. I mean, not just TCEQ, but TxDOT. I mean, every agency that you could possibly think of that is state ran and state governed, allegedly state ran and state governed. So with that being said, there's a lot of people pushing for TCEQ for your citizen participation, not just against TCEQ, but and other state agencies. But they want to hear from, just like you guys said, just like Trisha is setting up next month. We want to hear from our citizens so that not only we can be guided and directed by our local electeds and committees, appointed committees, but that we can give our appointed committees direction, and they can communicate with city council, and council can make two individuals put something on the agenda, because we not only because they doing it, but because we say do it. And again, I mean, we're the liberties that we release is because one or two things: we're not at the table, or we're not informed.
There's checks and balances.
They use it both. They use it both against us. I mean, like, if, even with that, Trisha, like, think about. I was in the military then, so think about back to 2002, before, after 9/11. Checks and balances went out the freaking window.
Here's the thing: the only being around that doesn't have to answer to somebody is God. So if you let these agencies and these people think that they're not accountable to anybody, well, they're playing God, and that's not right. Of course, they're going to become crooked, and they're not going to do things the correct way. Everybody has to answer to somebody.
I've been seeing lately, though. Have y'all noticed? I don't know if y'all watched some of those Facebook podcasts on, like, just the corruption and whatnot. But there's been lately, I think 4 or 5 different whole councils, police department chiefs, and everybody. 3 or 4, I think, different cities or towns or in Texas alone that have been basically railroaded by the federal government now, because and started locking these individuals up because of the civil rights issues, and also embezzlement, hiring nepotism, hiring it inside the ranks of your buddies. They just did a bust here recently where they got the manager, they got the city I think the city manager, the mayor, and then a few council, and also the chief of police, all in one town. They said that it made the crime rate, like statistics in that one town, raise like 100 and something percent, just because of those particular.
So it was a mini Mike Seavey going on.
Hold on. Beaumont ain't that bad, is it? Because like we've talked about, everybody's human, right? So yeah, Mike Seavey, boy, all these past police that did so wrong around here, I guess people just throw away man, they're human. Give them a break. Man, that dude was pushing more crack on the streets.
Man, I was about to say
a lot of individuals
was pushing more dope, and then arresting some of the same individuals that was trying to provide for their families. He had their thumbs.
What was he, lieutenant?
Thumbs on them. No, this was the police chief, or if not the chief.
Mike Seavey was. Yeah. Well, see, I thought that he
He
was
was high up there.
at least lieutenant or something, but he was
He was
above
high
one.
up
You
there.
said narcotics, right?
Yeah, he was high up there. This was
Yeah.
yeah, a high up there gentleman. And
Yeah.
for the life of me, I always thought he was the police chief at the time.
Right.
I
Well, that
could be
happened here.
wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what I'm saying. You know, I think one of the things is I don't think we really understand how our infrastructures have deteriorated in terms
Right.
of its resources.
yes,
I mean,
Right.
yes, brother.
I'm just saying our governments are requiring more, but in places and especially in smaller governments, people
Right.
are consolidating power into lesser and lesser individuals.
Right. Oh.
And people are just assuming, oh, things are working as normal just because it hasn't affected you.
Right.
And I mean, and I think we started seeing that with COVID, but we're kind of in this malaise. Everybody is trying to get back to whatever some kind of normal is and hoping everything else. I'm working with St. Louis County, Missouri now. And man, I'm talking to their their environmental health group, their public works, and just the amount of resources that they need just to keep daily operation going.
I'm glad you said that, big bro, because where is the county's environmental group? You know what I'm saying? And allegedly, Jefferson County has, you know, an environmental group or like one that monitors what goes on with Jefferson County. And there's some, you know, trickle down effect of emergency management when something happens. But again, and don't get me wrong, there's the stand, like, you know, yeah, but like you said, where is these pieces of equipments that could potentially be used in especially like moments of citizen distress, or like you got a leak that you need to let somebody know about, and now we're sitting ducks or sitting outside waiting for a text message from an agency, a third party agency, to tell us that you got a leak going on in our community and we need to get in our
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking to this group, and one group said in the last quarter alone, through through retirement and people finding other jobs, they lost over 600 years worth of knowledge. So how you gonna replace?
That's what happened here.
600 years.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That's what happened right here in Beaumont.
I'm not gonna say exactly what happened because the city manager ran out that amount of knowledge. I would say over 1,000 years of knowledge.
And that's why we got the problems we got right now.
Of the city water department, the city sewer department, and the city solid waste department, because all of that is damn near the same department.
Yep.
What we gonna do to
So
stop
that's
it?
what I'm saying. Beaumont is not alone. I mean, this is. I mean,
It's widespread.
And you guys are you as a group should be applauded by the community. I mean, just the effort to try to pull us together.
Sometimes that's all it
because
takes.
we all having these conversations, and I know that people are doing works in certain pockets, but for this to work, we got to come together. We got.
Right, and we definitely have to be able to share best practices and be willing to receive constructive criticism. Because one thing I found out about a lot of community leaders, and I use that loosely, especially in most of the deprived communities. I'm not going to say African American communities or poor white communities, or now I'm not gonna say none of that, but most of the deprived communities, you find vultures, or you know what I'm saying, opportunities. and they'll get you to sign, they'll get you to sign, they'll get you to sing, and the whole time you singing kumbaya, they behind your back, making deals to get you sold out. Your property end up becoming consumed because you allegedly was signing a petition for clean water and found out that this some gunman slipped slipped you and all your neighbors to Mickey. So I mean, like, we have to we have to be vigilant not only against some of the elected individuals, but we have to be vigilant against a whole bunch of those that claim to be on our side. Because the whole time that they say that they're on your side, they'll send you a nice little text message, and it'll have you distorted for months. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time you moaning, groaning, and complaining about that particular thing that they sent you, it's seven things that's going on that really needs your attention. Like the housing issue that we have here in the city of Beaumont, and how the city of Beaumont lost hundreds of thousands. Well, Jefferson County lost
1.6 million.
Oh yeah,
hundreds of thousands
120
plus
$120 million is what they had available to go to.
We just had to give back 1.6.
Right, not especially not just to landlords, but, and speaking of landlords, I'm glad I diverted. There are a lot of slumlords out here, and for the life of me, I cannot understand how is it that the city of Beaumont have inspectors and individuals that'll come say, "Hey, your yard is not right."
Yeah.
But over the course of time, if you inspected my house to get built, if I add on something and you tell me I got to get a permit, then one day, someday, please do an inspection when the services are on, because there are individuals that got gas leaks in their homes out here. There are individuals who have water leaks in their homes out here, and it doesn't matter whether there's individuals who got sewer backups and leaks in their homes, and it doesn't matter if you are a homeowner and or a renter. That
unacceptable.
Totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Last week we said something about brown water. We could beat that horse till it's dead. But until we go to the EPA, and I'm not going to city, I think I just let the cat out the bag. But it wasn't even out the bag. So it wasn't even a bag to put the cat in. How about that? So
right.
The once the EPA responds to the request and hopefully the samples that's been sent, not just by individuals on the west side of the city, but individuals all over Beaumont and all over Jefferson County, especially in those areas that got funky brown water. And I didn't just say brown water, I said funky
brown.
FUNKY, brown water. And it is, and if you got funky clear water, that's the same situation that people with funky brown water got.
All the water's funky.
Yours is extremely bleached. And I'm going to say it again, that means yours is extremely bleached. And if we're not aware of the processing of the city water department and the chemicals that they use, and I guess preventive practices that they have, we're the ones that have to take a shower in that. And I'm not talking about cooking, because allegedly, if you boil it, you boil whatever impurities out.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all noticed, ever since after Harvey, people's pots been turning gray on the inside.
Gray on the inside and white.
So and
gray
white
and
on
white.
the inside. So I don't know if y'all use that, but my mama, when my mama do gumbo, she go to Sam's and get the big tall bottles of water, and she pour all that in now.
I go get the chicken broth myself. So
so again, we can't just allow and accept whatever is going on, and I'm not talking about just at the state level. There are like Perry said, like Terry said, like James said, like Trisha mentioned, and is going to mention at her meeting, or well, at our meeting.
Our
Can't
meeting.
call it hers. Yeah.
No,
So
you
she,
guys. I need
because
all
you
advocates
already know how it's
involved.
gonna go. Right. And then,
Yeah,
you know, and Tony has mentioned, and like individuals at City Council has mentioned, there are certain situations that we really need to pay attention to, especially when it comes to the sustainment of human life in the city of Beaumont.
Yes.
Period.
Public
Hey,
health.
And those, that's not just the breathing. That's also my mental life. The sustainment of human life consists of mental, physical, and spiritual. And if that human life isn't lined up accordingly, then there are some individuals that may go awry. So,
hey,
keep,
to hit on,
yeah. So,
hey,
yeah.
to hit on something you said before about, that the state has a response time. The Open Records Act, the 10 days that any state or government entity has to provide one way or another an answer to your question, or hey, we can't answer this, or hey, give us a couple of more days. You got 10 days to do that. Well, what I was speaking on earlier, whenever I requested the name of the one officer, that had been 16 days at that point. What I did was I sent them that information directly because that's supposed to come from BPD Records Department on anything legal, right? Records wise.
Yeah.
They have the 10 days whenever you send them the writing, and I sent it and I have documentation, but they never even opened it. They never looked at it. They never sent back a reply because they sure hell don't like me. So what I did for record, what you have to do for record is if you do anything at all, is send the city of Beaumont that 10-day, that request with all your information. So I called and I said, the city clerk, send the city clerk, and they are fabulous with answering you back with things. Like they'll say, hey, we're sending it over to that department.
I'm glad I
So
found
at
it.
that point in time, you have an official record from the city. See, the police department I see is liking to play that little trick of like hide the goose, right? So from now on, it will go directly to the city and co-copied the police department where they both have records. So then you can go file an open records violation, which I will be doing soon with the Texas Attorney General's office, to go ahead and investigate the city of Beaumont on that issue, as well as, like I said, the State Department or the Justice Department for criminal rights violations, being that those sidewalks don't connect over railroad tracks in all minority communities in Beaumont that have heavy foot traffic. Like I said, that was drawn into the actual engineering plans of Washington Boulevard to leave blank. So you walk from a sidewalk off into the dirt, over the tracks, back onto a sidewalk, but you can spend $800,000 in a penalty in a lawsuit to the ADA because you can't complete a $50,000 or $25,000 sidewalk. If it's that, I'm saying at a high cost, which I
Well,
think that these are only
which is
$6,000 to
the
$10,000 that they're
amount
not
the
putting into
amount
the
of money
fund.
that the amount of money that was spent to do Washington Boulevard completely should have had that in the budget and the planning or project development anyway
Right.
from the jump.
It should have been
So
drawn
so
out. Yeah, it should have been drawn out. But
even
I took I
even
requested.
even beyond that,
Mhm.
again, like I said, to comply with ADA standards, to comply
Yep.
with citizens with disabilities compliance, to
Hmm.
comply with the Citizens with Disabilities Act, to
Right.
comply, with TxDOT, to comply with all railways. Because, like you said,
Right.
railways say we'll put it in. You can't touch our stuff, but we'll put it
Right.
in for you. That's like
Right.
somebody saying, "Mama could putting a night light in." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then your night light bulb go out. If y'all grew up in a household like I did, you couldn't touch that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You get your tail toe up going in there playing with a light
Right.
bulb or trying to
Right.
screw or
Right.
unscrew a light bulb. Because 9 times out of
Right.
10, they come behind you and you go jump and yeah, you all in trouble. So but
You're right.
this is something that I was looking for. Look at how thick this is. Now
Right.
this is
Right.
a complaint from a citizen, and I'll just say, Miss Lee, we'll call her Miss Lee. Miss Lee made a complaint to Texas Commission on Environmental Equality about an adjacent asphalt plant.
I thought I noticed that paper.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got plenty
So
of them.
I'm sitting up here.
I got plenty of them papers.
I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so this addresses the request from Miss Lee. Now, mind you, it says nothing about her request. Nothing mentioned about what she put in a request or her request for investigation. None of that. Okay, so that's that. Okay, then there is another one in here that's addressed to somebody totally different on a totally different side of town. Now, mind you, this that's addressed to somebody else on the other side of the town has nothing to do with the request that Miss Lee made. So this agency, if y'all could see it, that agency will give you the runaround if you make a complaint, especially this local one.
Yeah.
This local one will definitely give you the runaround if you make a complaint, whether it's sewer, whether it's water leaking for a long extended period
what was it last
of time.
year, James? That the city was under some kind of workshop, so they didn't have to take complaints.
What was it that? Yeah. They're under that for 10 years.
Yeah.
Look at this one. Look at this one.
They supposedly will still have to be investigated, but they won't catch a penalty.
My favorite
is what it is.
They make complaints, and the complaint consists of the city wouldn't take care of my problem, and I need your help, and they tell them to call the city.
That's what we get. That's the excuse that we get now, because the EPA is investigating that same pretty acronym that everybody been talking about, TCEQ, and the state of Texas, again, like James said, for discriminatory practices against minorities and low-income individuals. Period.
That's the only way I got things.
This is the individual. This was an investigation that I asked them to do concerning a discharge sewer water into not just my underpass, but on Forest and Forest and Linton. The city of Beaumont was pumping sewer, the break that happened into the storm drain, into the ditch that was across the street, and at the corner house on Forest and Linton. I'm sorry, Forest and is that Linton? I think that is. It's on the corner of Forest, though. How about that? So the complaint went out to TCEQ. They send me again somebody else totally different that had nothing to do with me. They said something about the Hildebrand water treatment. Hildebrand water treatment.
Hey, let me ask you, and to answer that, isn't it also probably illegal for them to send personal information? You know what I'm saying, of somebody else's to you?
You can get it on. Well, I don't know if you can send it to you, but you can. I can
well, once you make a complaint,
I'm saying that they've sent you the wrong stuff. They're sending you the wrong stuff. So it's like not only flooding you with the wrong stuff.
They're sending references, and that's just my assumption. And I'm not making an excuse to them or for them. But that's just my assumption, is that they're sending references that can, I guess, make lieu of what they have already investigated. I
always get the runaround from BPD.
That's asinine and unacceptable.
Whenever you make a complaint,
this
TCEQ.
picture that they send, and you could, well, I don't know if you can see it, but you could clearly see that shit water in the ditch.
Okay.
That's the pictures that I took.
When you make a
Yeah.
complaint to TCEQ, they send you the report, and that report contains every complaint for the past 5 years.
Okay.
Right.
All the
Okay.
details.
Okay,
I
so
got you.
so get this. They talked about the Hildebrandt treatment plant, but if you look at the route for where I was referencing sewer water being pumped into a storm drain, the storm drain empties out. Guess where?
Nature's.
At the Nature's River.
They're looking at fines for that right now. They get the
On the
city's getting all
back, on
kinds
the
of fines.
backside, yeah, on the backside of Pine Street.
They spilled into the Nature's.
Or if y'all remember what the name of them streets is, that used to be way down there in the north end back in the day. I don't remember them. I remember some of the houses that they allowed the trees and vines and everything else to take over.
All I can tell y'all is
none of the streets that's back there.
all I can tell y'all is don't trust the local TCEQ.
No, not
Because
at all.
y'all would not.
It needs to be the 511.
Call Austin.
I mean 512. Yeah,
Not even
the
Austin
number.
So not even Austin.
Right. At this
Not
point,
even
I would go
Austin.
straight to the
Straight to the
EPA.
EPA.
Yep.
Straight to the EPA.
EPA,
And being in this district, I would not even reach out to John Cornyn. And
And
I know not. And I know he watches this.
This is
I know he
reminding me,
watches this. And I wouldn't reach out to Randy Weber either.
Terry, you have the low well over there. It's been off. Even when it's on,
Almost a
your
month and a
water
half.
pressure is not what it's supposed to be, because there are two violations right now the city's currently got going on for over a year, where the pumps are not producing enough water.
Nope.
And that's even when they're all up and running. So that's why you guys have really low water pressure right now.
Yeah.
And the pressure is supposed to kill the bacteria, correct?
Yeah.
Besides
and there was a
the
study back
chlorines
in,
or whatever they're.
Right. There was a study done back in 96 or 98 that said that this was going to happen by the year 2020. So the city knew, and they've done nothing to,
But we gotta keep bringing that to them, y'all, because I know we don't want to have to go to the city with things, but you're gonna have to, because Chris, when you were talking, they were looking at you like they didn't have a clue what you was talking about.
I know.
Don't
I
people
know.
really? Don't
they
people
do.
know
I know.
what you were talking
And
about?
if y'all remember, the only person that really knows about, only two people on council that really knows about that is Councilman Getz and Councilman Samuel.
That's
Mike Getz didn't know.
I don't
I think
even
it was-
think Mayor Mouton was a councilwoman at the time. I think it was, I think she was a councilwoman at the time.
Back
She
in
was
December,
Ward 4 council.
I was on the Nextdoor app talking with citizens,
And
I
like Terry
showed him
said,
them
they
papers
sit
that you're
there
looking
like,
at now.
Like this has never came before them before. And
No,
Mike
Getz is more than aware.
Them worse.
I can prove he's
gonna
aware.
hit them worse. I'm telling you. And the city of Beaumont, being that we can't, we don't have. Let me not do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Being that we don't have Kyle Hayes to cook our books, especially natural disaster, back-to-back natural disasters to feed the bleeding economy that or the bleeding funds that we have here in the city of Beaumont. It's about to be some heavy hitting when it comes to taxes a little bit, and
they're about to be. I think we're about to get investigated by the federal government. I really believe that.
It's long overdue, and that's, I know for sure, that's one of the reasons why, like I said, I ran for mayor in 2011. I remember going into the polling location on election day. I think it was May 3rd then, and seeing my name. But I knew it wasn't just my name on the ballot, y'all. It was my name and everybody that was before me, whether they did good by me, did right by me, or did bad by me. It was everybody before me. And I definitely, if you did wrong by me, and when I say me, I'm not talking about just something that you did directly to me, but something that somewhere down the line affected me. And that includes the drug trade, that includes deprivation to African American businesses, that includes disclosure to resources, or not disclosing resources that could have been potentially aiding, with the exception of the long haul of people on certain government assistance programs. I mean, like it's a lot that I saw, and I know that directly affected me. And at that time, I wanted the buck to stop there, and I still want the buck to stop there because I'm gonna call out everything I see, especially if it's against humanity. But more so, I'm gonna stand on something if I see it being directly targeted against humans that look humans with a hue. That's it. Humans with it. If it's against humans with a hue, I'm definitely gonna come. I'm definitely gonna say something about it. I'm definitely gonna not blast you, but try to educate my community, educate my people on not just what's going on and how it affects you, but how we can resolve this issue and not wait for 2 years or 4 years or 6 years down the line for somebody to get out of office because that's the only time we see the opportunity to make a move. No, this is chess, and you got to make a move every time I hit the clock. And when you hit the clock, I got to make a move. And the longer I'm on the clock, the more you win. So I got to hurry up and get off your clock.
Yeah,
They're on
I've
our clock. Stop letting people waste your time, yo. Especially, like I said, our skin is the largest organ of our on our body, and if we can, if it touches our skin, it absorbs it. If we sit outside and breathe, and it absorbs it. If we sweat and it dries, it absorbs what. Come on, y'all. I mean, like we have to be cognizant of not just what goes on in our local environment, as far as like Exxon Mobil, but like I was saying to Terry and to Perry a while back about how and I'm also mentioning to TCEQ how they allow and TxDOT how they allow raw sewage to run out on the streets on a rainy day, and then there's no cleanup thereafter. No, I mean, like Environmental Protection Agency standard cleaning that goes on from TxDOT or the city of Beaumont. And the crazy part about it is your cities are funded through the state government to mitigate these types of issues. And I'm not just talking
Where's
about
that money going?
TCEQ.
Right.
Right. Where's
Where's
that
that
money
money
going?
going that's
Especially if you
made for
know
that?
that we live in an area that's traveled by highly combustible materials, highly flammable materials, highly dangerous inhalable materials. How is it that the city of Beaumont can only depend on their industries when something like this, including our water, goes down? I mean, like, come on, man. You charge citizens by the goo gobs, and you spend billions of dollars annually. And I'm not talking about just not. I'm not talking about just annual upkeep for the city, but like only way we're gonna change a lot of things that's happening is when we start to impose. And I'm not talking about because y'all know I love AJ like my little brother. I love Taylor Neal like my little brother. I look at Taylor's dad like an uncle to me. Because like when I was running on public office, his dad was running, and as well as it's just a lot of people that, like I said, have poured into me. Like I said on my Facebook post today, there's a lot of people that have poured into me, going in blind to politics, thinking that I would be able to influence individuals, especially elected individuals, to move from their position just by going to city council and talking. And I knew that it was falling on deaf ears. We're back at the same. We're back at that same place. We're back at.
We're gonna stay here until we do something to change it.
Yeah, but
but you gotta be able to present. Like I said, you gotta be able to present these individuals with written documentation. Hey, on this day, I presented to you, and I said, and reference the city clerk because that's what she do. If y'all have ever noticed me, whenever I go to city council, after I read something, if I don't read it in its entirety on one page, the rest of what I wanted to say is submitted on the record. Do you not hear me? It's submitted to the record, whether I was able to say it over the 3 minutes that you gave me or not.
Okay.
But that's kind of going to wrap us up now. You know, I heard somebody yawning. It probably was Terry.
Hey,
You know.
There was Terry over there. My
Listen.
sister done worked him to death this weekend.
But listen, we're going to have Tick Price on Tuesday.
I thought he was supposed to be today. Oh yeah,
he was supposed to be today. We're supposed to be Tuesday. But next Sunday, I know he's got I know he's taking notes. Next Sunday, hopefully, we're gonna have our city councilman, Mike Getz, gonna join us next Sunday. So have your notes ready and have you ready. I know he's heard enough.
Hey man, I tell y'all what. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all what. Before we even get to that's a week from today, y'all.
That's Mother's Day.
Yes. So I was gonna say
wait,
now.
I'm sorry. We're gonna have to move that to another Sunday because we're not gonna be on.
The next Sunday is the citizens meeting.
Yes. Oh, is that?
I'd like to fit him in before the citizens meeting if that's possible.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Next Sunday?
Next Sunday is Mother's Day.
Next Sunday, next Sunday is Mother's Day, but the following Sunday is the citizens meeting.
It's not the 22nd.
It is the 22nd, isn't it?
Yeah. So
maybe I'm behind a week.
Yeah, we got another Sunday to go.
Oh my goodness! Never mind me.
I'll give him a date.
Okay, so he's gonna be on Mother's Day Sunday.
No.
Man, why y'all don't want him on Mother's Day Sunday? That's gonna
want to have a good Mother's Day.
It's gonna be a nice Mother's Day. Like we don't know how to act.
I think y'all want to be here.
Hey, if I can add real quick, you know what? I think that a lot of our discussions have gone a long way. I know I've pushed a lot on my Facebook page, the Beaumont, Texas Information Station. I know everybody here does some kind of push for what they do. Also talking about areas like food deserts and whatnot. And I think that our ball that we started rolling down the hill has actually taken momentum, not by council. And I saw that news report everybody saw that said council has awarded a permit. Man, it ain't got nothing to do with council at all. Council ain't doing a goddamn thing. What it's up to is business people that are actually taking notice, since I believe that we're talking about the need of these areas. So I think that we are going to have to keep on doing exactly what we're doing and pushing. I don't care how negative they say it is, but we're bringing it to fruition. Yeah, because it's not us. It's not going to happen.
And again, the meeting, you guys, whoever wants to participate, please. I mean, this doesn't have to be just about brown water. It's about Beaumont.
Yeah.
Well, y'all would be amazed at since we got on the news talking about the city, you'd be amazed at the people that has approached me about because they don't know what to do.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people can't flush their toilets, man.
We're going to continue this. We're going to continue this. We're going to continue this until we get results. We're going to keep pounding. We're going to keep kicking on the doors until we get results. Like I was telling
I do want to say this, big bro.
I'm still pushing to all the government agencies like the Department of Justice and all of them right now. I'm just getting my momentum on that level to push for the ADA and also civil rights on the investigation for the sidewalks. All that's ridiculous. So we got to do our part. Go ahead,
Go ahead, Chris.
I do. Like, you know, some of my friends that watch this, especially like those that live outside of this country and some of those that live outside of this city, county, state, right? And they were like, well, I mean, like, y'all were hitting on some tight topics and just awarenesses, but like, what's the pro of living in Beaumont? All I heard was cons. So I want to say here are some pros tonight. We're gonna give y'all some pros from me tonight. So I really want a few. Go ahead, big bro.
I really want you to give me the pros on the next episode. But I want you to give me the pros tonight. You at the tail end of the show.
Yeah.
And on the next episode 3 of what it's like living in Beaumont, I want you to give those pros at the beginning of the show.
Okay, that's a bet.
Okay, you ready? Let's go.
That's a bet. Okay, so some of the pros that I have, and y'all have to understand, I live in the South End, and I'm not talking about in Beaumont South End. I'm living in the real South End. I live in the real South End,
original South
the
End,
the historical South End. Okay, so with that out of the way, one of the things that's approaching me about Beaumont, especially living in the South End, is that this is not. I mean, the city, as far as population, is extremely large, but this is a very, 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 very close knit neighborhood and community. I will say, out of a lot of places I've been to, and trust and believe, my mom said my feet is always hot. You know, I mean, I'm always on the go. I've been to several different places, whether it was for entertainment or business. I every time I come back home, I look forward to reuniting with my friends and relatives that are here in Beaumont because again it's that close knit neighborly homely feel that's here and that's one of the pros that I have and I'll give the rest of them to you.
We have the best people for sure.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, okay? On our next episode 3 of what it's like living in Beaumont, what is the pros and cons, I'm gonna ask each one of you to tell me.
Look, he shook his head. I saw you, big bro. Like
one pro about what it's like living in Beaumont. Okay.
Can I give you the biggest con?
I will wait. We're gonna wait for the next show.
Hey man, did you just hear how it came out of his mouth? It's like, yeah,
I mean, I'm not, I'm gonna say I'm gonna leave it alone.
Okay.
I need each one of y'all to tell me within the last, say, 40 years, what company has opened up in Beaumont that's employed 300 to 500 people all the time, besides plants and the schools.
Nobody.
What job? And whose job is it to bring that here?
And why aren't they?
And why aren't they?
Right.
And why aren't these people coming? It's a reason they're not coming. They're not coming just because. I mean, we are.
And I was about to say,
companies look at the overall everything, even infrastructure.
And they're not
companies
hiring. They're not hiring
access.
just because they're not hiring 300 and 400 people. I mean, they are hiring 300 to 400 plus people. They're just not coming from Beaumont, and that's
you wonder why.
And that, I was about to say that will be the part B to my big brother question.
Yeah.
Why is it that those businesses that are here and alleged to come and scope to come to Beaumont, why aren't their workforce coming from right here?
Here. But there's not many of those companies out here, though, Chris.
Correct. That's true.
Yeah.
That's
not
true.
none.
And
it's none.
And I'm not gonna lie. You have, especially like in my neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? Like most of, and like you said, we're not talking about the plant. Most of the people that travel to the plant don't live in Beaumont, no way.
Yeah.
Others that travel to Kansas City Railway or any of the railroads that's around me don't live in Beaumont, no way. And if they do, they retire from the railroad. You know what I'm saying? The half of the police officers, they don't live in Beaumont.
Exactly.
You know, most of the individuals that work in downtown Beaumont, they don't live in Beaumont.
Yeah.
Some of the highest paid ones live in Baytown, Houston, further out.
Right.
I got
people that work at the Port of Beaumont,
employees' records right now.
And that's a part of the reserve on College Street. They don't live in Beaumont. So who's like you say, who investing in us? Who's going to look out for us at the end of the day, especially when we see
who employed here
and everything on the income?
Yeah. Right. Who employed here is actually going to care about the city of Beaumont and the citizens.
We're gonna move that to the next show.
Part 3.
It's part 3. It's been a 2-hour show here tonight. We'll start hearing about it the next day, next week.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yes, I'm quite sure I'm gonna get a phone call tonight.
But anyway,
we're the troublemakers.
It's been a great show. But again, before I leave here,
they all
know.
Before we leave, let me just stress this: we must continue to stay on and be consistent by staying on point what we are trying to accomplish, because they're wanting us to sweep it
Shut
over the
up.
road. Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
They
get-
want us to shut up.
Right, and get another distraction that just and we move us somewhere else. But we're gonna stay on topic. We're gonna stay on topic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. I enjoyed you. We see you on Tuesday and Sunday after Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
All right.
Y'all have a
want
good Mother's Day, Trisha. Happy
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day, Mother.
Appreciate y'all.
Happy Mother's
All
Day
right,
out there.
okay.
We don't get on.
If we don't
God
see
bless
you,
y'all.
I get. All right.
Thank you for watching Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Be sure to like and subscribe to all Knowledge is Power social media pages.